Abuzuyama kwaba eba POG media so na mwamuni si ejebia se na chese eyem hodo nti na chese yenso ya jebia yedi ti adom suko enso abo erira o my Ghana political space ni me the headlines ni bi aba beto POG apono so se mo so mbra na mbehu de eko na mbehu de and also air trendy ewo my Ghana political space na yebo erira nsima na chese yede yani enso air che ECG eyo makachi a chese asemde and I just say and so a free eho aba na nim nsem bi a see ebra ye the NDC government and so baba move for na some ECG containers bi na say and also ira e free porter na say ura Richard Japan national security for no and so etiom hu guma say omko hu bi o baby mia baby na say allegedly na NPP members former government no so etimi etwa sa containers bi edima Indians bi kwa so edin bi PPM so mo and at so to toss cables near the ade na me no ka say over 1,000 containers and also Richard Japan and ECG for no almost letting me aboard you and so a dear who I just say koya sem de e dey my Ghana energy sector na just say a doom so party I sure say betimi so be in the coming days and I say in the coming years and also a diakakoye asem there na container on sem ne de the be to two job pre nkofo and na mo won say ma sa containers no and so etimi ma bia almost wadwuma right now ECG no almost etimi suspend bia.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana is breathing a heave, a sign of relief after tracing and retrieving over 1,000 missing containers from the Tema port, marking a significant breakthrough in tackling logistics and hurdles that they encountered that have bogged down operations. Now, the managing director, Engineer Julius Pekpena, shared the update with Parliament's Energy Committee, highlighting substantial progress made since May, when many containers seemed lost in limbo. There's more in the following report.
The Parliament Energy Committee has begun day 2 of its 3-day monitoring visit to the agencies here at the Electricity Company of Ghana, where a number of issues have been coming up. Let's begin with the acting managing director of the company, Engineer Julius Pekpena, who in his briefing to the committee indicated a number of things. You will recall that the company suffered severe public backlash when they requested that over 200% increment in the distribution service charge, which is currently with the Public Utility Regulatory Committee for a final decision on that. A large part of the conversation has been for the company to reduce its losses and increase revenue.
We have also implemented a number of initiatives to improve our internal processes. We want to reduce the frustrations applicants face in getting power supply or in getting meters. We know we have some issues in some of the districts and regions, and we are working to resolve that.
Other key major issues in the public domain has been the conversation over missing containers at the port, some ECG contracts, which over 300 of them have been flagged to be defective. He said they have taken some decision on some of those contracts, as well as the contract between the ECG and Haptel with regards to commission payment. They have reduced that from 3% to some 1.65%, as well as being able to trace some 1,000 containers that have been reported missing.
We have started moving our containers from the port. So far, we moved over 1,000 containers. Again, when we met in May, the news was that we couldn't trace a lot of our containers. I'm happy to say that we have traced all our containers and we started moving them from the port.
I am James Savey for Joy News.
Let's explore this further here on Joy News Prime. Join me now is Roxanne Richmond. He is spokesperson and head of communications at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. I also have on phone the former managing director of ECG, Mahama. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. I'll start with you, Richmond. Roxanne, you say here that you are terminating 202 contracts, which you deem questionable, but that's not all. You flag over 300 contracts under ECG. Tell me more about this and what is influencing this question that you're putting out.
Good evening to you, and good evening to my learned friend, Dubik, and then good evening to your cherished listeners and our viewers as well. When this administration took over, one of the challenges that the Minister for Energy and Green Transition noticed was that there were questionable ECG contracts with various degrees of infractions. The time frame for delivery had long passed, and then what it meant was that they had breached the agreement. So the minister directed a new management to take a look at ECG's contract. Over the period, the management and board have gone through a process. What they've done is that they've gone through a comprehensive auditing process, and then some contracts have been terminated or abrogated. The reasons are varying. Like I mentioned earlier, some of them are as a result of various degrees of breaches. And this figure, ECG puts it around $300 million United States dollars. And the exercise is still not over. They are going through the process of validating some few contracts left. Depending on what their conclusions will be, I'm sure that the board and management will take the appropriate decision.
But then specifically, why exactly, if you can run me through at least a few of these contracts, why you decided to terminate them?
I've just mentioned that there are various degrees of reasons. Some as a result of non-delivery, others period that were to. In fact, every country, you have once you another obligation.
You may have to position rightly. I can't hear you clearly, but let me bring in Dubik Mahama right now. Whilst you position your line rightly, we've just been hearing from the ministry give us breakdown that they've indeed retrieved some of these missing containers, which your administration, by the way, highlighted was not missing. How do you react to this?
Hello?
Yeah, Dubik, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear now. Initially, I couldn't hear you.
I'd like to say a big good evening, and I'd like to say a big thank you to the management and staff of ECG for supporting the ministry and all the state agencies to retrieve all of these containers. If you remember, I said they can only be misplaced and that they are not missing because they are in a safe zone. And I'm glad that gradually, the vindication is coming out. They are finding it, and there's going to be an amicable solution. It's funny we should be having this conversation today because exactly a year ago was when I resigned. That was at the 25th of September. Today is 26th, and we are having this conversation where these all the things that we've been talking about are unraveling. I just pray and hope that we all do our best to support the ministry. We should stop pointing fingers and let's get to an amicable solution because ECG is a great company that needs to be supported to get to the heights that it needs to get to. So we should all just put in our bit and support them. They've retrieved some. I was saying the current managing director said they found it all. The PRO is saying that they retrieved some. Whatever it is, that means gradually, we will get to the conclusion of the matter. And as he also said, it's an exercise that's ongoing. So we should also be patient and assist them in whichever way possible for them to achieve this goal that they are looking, which is to retrieve every container that is stuck in whichever place or to find whichever container that is misplaced.
And as previous manager of the ECG, knowing fully well now that they've been able to recover some of these containers, what measures do you propose they put in place to ensure things like this do not reoccur in the future?
So I think it's all about the fact that the whole silo working should be reduced drastically for all related directorates or departments to be synced properly, for everybody to see what's happening and transparency within that regard, so that they can all be comfortable. I think that's just the way to go, because if the transparency or the synchronization was proper, I'm not sure we would have this distortion about containers being missing or containers being misplaced.
Thank you so much, the big Mahama. And then let me just wrap up with Richmond Roxon. We had challenges connecting to you earlier. Just your final words as we wrap up the conversation. But clarify for me, have you retrieved all the containers or some of the containers?
Give me some time to put them in a proper perspective. When the administration took charge, there was a status report that was provided to the Minister of Energy and Green Transition. The report stated clearly that ECG had 2,491 containers at the port. Upon a visit to the port and various warehouses, the minister noticed that the containers that had been mentioned in the report were less than what he had seen. So he set up a committee. The committee's report was that over 1,300 of these containers could not be found. Subsequently, the Office of the President
POG Media, message over your line. So subscribe to your POG Political Media, and you always see a lot about the Ghana authentic political headlines. A POG Media, so and I also have it in my car. Also, the echo and the Epanina. In some artists, and also boy in the early days of the NDC government, you know, not to say the likes of Fenomakin. Jinapor na chese na so omudi efinga wo eyesa kebozia na npebiti se oguntumi ada NPP prominent people and chese allegedly na amafo enso bomb dia omo so editayo omo se omo sashe eyesa kebosa and also bra reju port na omo so eyiye etwa enso edite abuju amara se beto aso na etin sim na wachi.
The Chief of Staff set up another committee. The committee was able to identify 2,637 containers belonging to ECG, which was way above the number that even the initial committee realized. Subsequently, 2,583 containers were traced at various locations. And what the government has done was that the Chief of Staff has authorized ECG, National Security, the Port Authority to go through an evacuation process and also take inventory of the containers that are at the port. So, test is still ongoing. As we speak, not all containers have been retrieved. In fact, the truth is that we have found containers that are not on the inventory of ECG. And then we've had containers on the inventory of ECG not accounted for. And so, fortunately, the process is ongoing, and I'm sure that very soon, what will happen is I will give an update. The update that ECG gave today is the evacuation process, which is currently local.
Thank you so much, Richmond, for your time here on Joe News Prime. Away from that, the Education Ministry is taking swift action against the viral claim alleging that getting placed into a Brig Girls Senior High School cost a whopping 15,000 Ghana cedis. Working closely with national security, the ministry launched a probe into the false allegations, emphasizing that the computerized school placement system is absolutely free. In a statement signed by the Deputy Sector Minister, Clement Akpak, the ministry dismissed the viral claim as a narrative aimed at undermining the system's credibility. But similar allegations surfaced as far back as 2021, prompting a police CID investigation, and 6 recommendations were made to prevent reoccurrence. Now, that's coming up on your screens right now as we look at some of the key recommendations made as far back as 2021. 1, independent monitoring, and that they are also proposing that you report directly to the minister. Another key concern they raised after the investigation was that there ought to be an audit system before archiving the data. So this is one of the recommendations they made. Then you must ensure strict transparency. Another key recommendation they made through the process. They wanted it to be transparent to read the system of some of these bad nuts. Now, they state that officials with access must follow compliance rules, and parents ought to be educated as well as students on placement criteria, and they should also follow up on that bribery case with the police. Well, that recommendation was made as far back as 2021. Well, in 2025, and this issue has sprung up again. But let's get more on this. Joining me now is the Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education, Mohammed Hashmin. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. I just want to start with a key understanding. The computerized system has faced credibility challenges before. And we're just seeing that as far back as 2021, that CID investigation that was made, they made a lot of recommendations. And now we're back here again. Why are these allegations recurring? Hashmin, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear now.
Thank you very much. Well, I am not aware of any investigative report. At least that hasn't come to my attention yet. However, granted that such a report do exist, the Ministry of Education has taken steps to ensure that this year's BEC computerized school placement system is carried out in a manner that is very, very credible. And even prior to the start of the placement itself, we roll out a campaign aimed at educating the general public that the placement is free, and if you encounter any ministry official or a third party demanding money from you, you need to report the incident to the Ghana Police Service or the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We have been running that campaign across some media outlets in Ghana. At the same time, the computerized placement system is on merit base, and the Minister for Education himself has, for the first time, has decided to stay away from the placement exercise itself. The minister do not have access to the login credentials of the computerized school placement system. His deputy, Honorable Dr. Apak, do not have access. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service himself do not have access. The ministry have allowed the Secretariat to operate independently. And issues with regards to the bribery itself are we have observed that many of it are allegations. And when those allegations are thrown into the public and we inquire, it becomes very, very difficult to ascertain those allegations. And like you rightly mentioned, yesterday, the Deputy Minister even issued a statement in connection with issues regarding allegations of bribery as far as the BEC placement is concerned. And we are calling on the general public, if you have any evidence that you have paid any money to any official, be it Ministry of Education official or a third party, we have rolled out hotlines to which you can reach us, and we'll be glad to engage you and then investigate the issues.
Thank you so much for your time here on Joy News Prime. Away from that, the erstwhile Akuffo administration has clashed with the World Bank over the roots of the country's 2022 economic collapse. The World Bank is clear. Ghana's woes aren't the fault of the Russia-Ukraine war, but rather homegrown issues stemming from deep-seated structural flaws, fiscal irresponsibility and mismanagement. But key members of the Akuffo administration disagree. The former Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Stephen Amwa, is questioning the World Bank's stance, citing alleged behind-doors admission about the global impact. Let's listen to him. We'll be right back.
Sure, the document might have said, apart from that, we have structural weaknesses and issues as a country. And that one is a fact. It's not just one routine. When it comes to economic resilience, most developing economies, including Ghana, fundamentally we have challenges because we depend on the economy. We are basically import-driven economy. So these things are there. We talk about an ineffective way, sometimes we manage our expenses as a country. These are issues that occur. I mean, it doesn't matter who is in government, the facts are there. So if the first 3 years of Akufo-Addo's government were growing to 7%, one of the best in the world, inflation rate averagely has stayed about 7%, one of the best in the world. And then we have even picked, GDP growth in the year 2000, about, I think it was 3.4%. And we're rolling out one of the most enviable pro-poor policies sustainably in our country. Who could have thought that after the first term of Akufo-Addo's government, where there was market productivity impairment, people were even asked to stay home, they were paid. We're in this country. Private sector sank over 40,000. We had revenue shortfall of about between 11 and 12 billion. The world itself knew how we're suffering. Things were being brought from outside that were costing us $4,000, moved to $12,000. I used to import things for my pharmacy in this country. Some of the items that were costing me 1999 pounds, before God we serve, some of them were costing me 29.99, 10 pounds different. Conversion would have been that time around 200 Ghana cedis. So they can say whatever, if that is true. I think it's been taken out of context.
The World Bank report is on myjoyonline.com. You can go and read it. Away from that, the Food and Drug Authority has uncovered disturbing levels of dangerous chemicals in some food and cosmetic products sold on the market. A new nationwide report warns that everyday items, including turmeric, Tom Brown, and skin creams, could pose serious health risks. The FDA is rolling out emergency measures and warning the public to be cautious. There's more in the following report.
The Food and Drugs Authority says its latest nationwide survey has found worrying levels of harmful substance in foods and cosmetics sold on the Ghanaian market. The study, which covers all 16 regions, tested popular items like turmeric, Tom Brown, bentonite clay, locally known as ayolo, and skin lightening creams. Roderick Kwabena J is the Deputy Chief Executive of the Food Division at the FDA.
To our dismay, we found out that turmeric is a product people who want to lose weight are falling down on. So we use that as an indicator, as well as also cool cosmetic that ladies, guys may want to use under their eyes. Winnie mix, complementary food for babies. Normally when you wean them, they want.
Medase so come on I bought a radio medium say POG Media the banana can authentic political headlines are POG Media so pen out so betimi aka now so who the echo and the urban in our my Ghana political mainstream. Now so subscribe still any the can so am sure drop subscription now wa share with me was slide into the comment section or now also with me edin come on a POG remember na yensu ya baba be ma hu my medase so jebre na come home am I the boy the radio medium best